that I'm going to be the top paid player in the club. It's like, is it? It's like, I know you know, and I know that this is taking the mick. Like, I'm top scorer in the league every season. I mean, in the team every season, and top scorer in the league. And this is what you're going to offer me, even considering that I haven't had a new deal for 2 years. So I was like, this is really not great, is it? But let's try and get to some, some agreement. Anyway, nothing happens. And then I've got a clause from when I signed for 1.2 million. I had a clause in there saying 3 million release clause. So they thought, nah, nothing of it. 3 million, that's double his money anyway. It's not a problem. We'll put it in. 3 million and 1p was put in by West Brom. So I'm there going, okay, let me have a look at West Brom. Let me look at their squad. It's Robson, grew up watching him, grew up watching his boys, Man United, one of the best midfielders. He's now managing West Brom. Okay, who's West Brom got? Right, they got Kanu, they got Kamara, they got Earnshaw, they got Campbell, they got Horsfield, they got, Inamoto, they've got Jonathan Green in. They got all these players. And I'm thinking, they just stayed up that season and they're just looking to kick on next season to push on forward. And I'm like, if I join, then hopefully I'll push them a bit higher. So at worst ways, it's probably a sideways movement. Because I knew at the time, Wigan, a very good team. We beat up West Brom. We beat Blackburn. We beat a lot of teams in the cups prior seasons. I was thinking, we're a really good side. So I know the chances are that it would probably be, not get relegated with Wigan. But is myself moving to West Brom going to be a bad move? And I thought, worst case scenario is it's a sideways move, but I'll at least I won't be dealt with badly. Like, they're taking the mick out of me right now. It's a principle. I've got to sign a deal that's worth something. So they offer me a good deal. So I'm like, okay, I agree. I'm like so angry because I wanted to stay at Wigan, but at the time I was like, I got to sign a deal. But they're not willing to budge. Wigan weren't willing to budge above a certain amount, I think. And then I was like, well, I've got to go to West Brom because it looks like they want me. They're going to pay me, whatever, and they're not taking the mick out of me. I'll go, but I really can't believe these guys are doing this to me. So on my day, when I went back to the training, I was bawling. I'm like, can't believe I'm leaving. Like, I can't believe this. I just can't believe I'm leaving. So I'm saying bye to everyone. I'm on my way in the car, crying. And they call me. Wigan call me. Say, we'll offer you this. And it's still less than West Brom by it's like $4,000 a month less. So it's $1,000 a week less a week. I would have signed it. I would have signed that. But I already agreed. I gave my word to West Brom that I'm signing. And I felt like I can't say I'm not signing now. I've already said I'm signing. I'm going to sign. They're waiting for me. I'm not that guy who can let people down like that. In my head at that time. Knowing what I know now as a business person, going through the the experiences, I would have just turned around and went back to Wigan and signed. But football is business. Now I know football is just business. Forget your mind. Forget your emotions. The contract negotiations is just contract. Take your mind out of it, your emotions out of it, and get a deal done for what you think is best for the player, no matter what you feel or whatever. And that's what I didn't do. I didn't listen to my agents. I did what I thought was best. And that was the mistake of my career, which I feel was wrong. I shouldn't have moved based on what I know now. But like I said, on the principle of how I was treated, I should have moved. But like I said, you don't make moves in football based on your mind and your feelings. So yeah, it hurt. It really hurt to have to leave a club that I love so much, done so well with. We won so much with. My strike partner who I was with. I didn't want to go. I never wanted to go, but it was something that I felt I had to do on principle. And it happened. I ended up moving to West Brom.
Joining West Brom at the time, there was, I said, a little bit of buzz about the place. Like you mentioned, Brian Robson's in charge, that ex-Man United background. But they seem to have about 8 strikers before you signed. So many players that can play in that position. Players like Horsfield as well, you've had that history with, you haven't had that connection with, if you like, on the field. Talk to me about your mindset going into the club, because obviously you're aware of how many good strikers they've had. Like we've mentioned, Kanu, Kevin Campbell, all the players around in and around the squad. What was your mindset like joining West Brom?
When I first joined West Brom, I just felt like they're a really good side. They got really good players. It's going to be a fight, but I'm up for the fight. That's what I'm all about. I've got confidence in myself to go and play and be better than to be in a position to be the best striker there to be playing. So I knew that they're buying me. I felt at the time they were buying me to improve their squad so they can kick on in the league. I just thought, you know what? Doesn't matter who's there. It's great. If there's people there that are good, I'll play with them. Even better. But at least I'll play. So joining was a thing of, it's good to have good players in your squad. That's what you want. You don't want to have bad players in your squad. I had the privilege of going up the leagues. So I went from non-league, League 2, okay, League 3, back to League 2, League 1, Championship, Premiership. I went up, up, up. So it was a better feeling because it was, I'm playing with these better players. Wow, better balls. Wow, better pitches. Wow, much better football. I ended up just always things getting better and better and better. It was never you're playing with the best player on the best pitches, then you go to this level where no one finds you, the quality's not there, you get frustrated. But with me, it was always, wow, on to bigger and better things. Great, no problem. Or at least sideways movement, like I said. I didn't think of it as I'm not really going to play. I thought, because throughout my whole career, it was play, 20 plus goals, 20 plus goals, 20 plus goals. That was all it was. You play. I knew all I need is a pre-season and playing every week, and I'm scoring over 20 goals a season no matter what. And that's what happened until I went to West Brom, and I was on the bench. I'm pretty much on the bench most of the time. Still managed to be top scorer for the team. Didn't play too many games. I think I scored 8 goals in all, 5 in the league. I think I started 18 games. So I think I did okay for my first season. Okay. I did well in a lot of games. I played really well in a lot of games as well. But I kept quiet. I was a quiet type. And a lot of games where I remember sitting at Birmingham City, me and Kanu sitting on the bench going, me and you got 5 goals each. And we're sitting here on the bench. Campbell and Horsfield played double games and scored maybe two and 3 goals. Why are we both sitting here on the bench? It doesn't make sense to us. So we both come on and change the game, and I score, and I think we end up drawing the game because we were 1-0 down, and I scored to make it 1-1. And then I ended up playing the next game with Kanu, scored at Middlesbrough, bottom corner, then played the next game. Kanu set up every goal of mine at West Brom. In the cup game, he set up my goals there. In the other games in the league, he set up my goals there. And I was like, this guy just sets people up for fun. I just got to make a run and the ball will be there. So that's the first time. It's weird, isn't it? Playing with Kanu when I was a youngster, playing with him on Pro Evo Soccer and ISS.
Yeah.
Or Nigeria. He was Nigeria striker on the game when I was little. Somehow, he's still my strike partner when I'm older, and he's still 20-something years old and still killing it. So he was an unbelievable player. I don't know how he managed to freeze time and then, still be 27 when I became 20, 24, whatever. But he was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. Great player to play with as well. And,
what was he like in training, Kanu, to be around? Like the king, obviously he's got the moniker the king, so that speaks for itself. But what was he like? Tell us a little bit of insight.
He's so relaxed, yeah. He's so relaxed, but the type of player he is, the way he plays is all slow. It's in his own time, and everyone falls for everything he does. Why? Because his shot is so slow. His fake shot is the same slow. So you don't know whether it's a shot or it's a fake one. So he just fakes all the time, and everyone's sliding here and there and everywhere, and he just popping the ball in the goal after. I was like, I cannot believe this guy is so good. Like, his touch is great. He can hold the ball up. He put people in. He's just amazing.
How big was his boots? Size 12?
I'm
Was it
sure it
good?
was size 12 or 13, man. Big shoes, big shoes. But what a player. What a player to play with.
Now, it's interesting you bring up Kanu's age, Nwankwo Kanu. Now, I remember him winning, well, I guess it would have been the UEFA Cup with Ajax. Now, I'm sure this was 96 or maybe 94, yeah? And like, he meant to be about 18 then. Was there speculation and banter amongst the players in the team that Nwankwo Kanu could be considerably older than the age that we believe him to be?
I think it was just a bit of a banter thing. We always say, obviously, when's your birthday? Is it the first of the month? Is it? Because they usually, I think their story is they always put the first of whatever month. It's always the first. So most players you see that you think that they're older than their age, you'll always be the first of some date. So I'm not sure what date his birthday is. I hope it's not the first. But yeah, so it was just one of them things where I was always thinking, how are you 25 or 26 when, or was he 27? I'm not sure, but I was just thinking, I remember being little playing this game when football games first come out and you were up front. I remember that. So I just never really took the time to like work out the years, but I was just always thinking, nah. And I'm actually not even sure, to be fair, if it really is something to think about, but it was something that I did think about, if you get what I mean.
I always found it funny that Arsene Wenger let him go on a free transfer at the time he did, considering if he was only 30, for such a talented player and someone that's had such a great career. So maybe Uncle Arsene knew something we didn't.
So was he 30 when he left Arsenal then?
I think so. I'll have to double check that. I'm going maybe 30.
Yeah, because he was 20 something when I met him. So he was getting younger.
I'm not going to speculate on that anymore. Just nothing but respect for him. What a great talent, great man, and he's doing fantastic work with his Heart Foundation as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I'm always seeing he's changing lives with his own money. So
I actually met him. I actually met him again out in America.
Really?
So my missus, she was not well, and she had to go and see the same specialist as Nwankwo Kanu saw, and got the operation done by. So when I went out, he has to go out there every now and again to get checks. Yeah. So it's a Cleveland clinic. So we went to the Cleveland clinic, and then we was out in the mall, and guess who I bumped into? I was like, oh, my strike partner, Kanu. So it's great to just bump into him in America, of all places, in Cleveland. So it was nice. It's nice to obviously bump into him and to play with him, to just get to see the ability that he had, and to get some assists from him, and to be on the same pitch, and just like I said, grow up watching and then playing with him. It's great. He's one of the two strikers, obviously, that I rate real high up there in terms of players to play with. Liddell, he's another one that I got to say he had a great attitude.
Yeah.
Andy Liddell is a great striker, scored amazing goals, and he set me up a lot as well. So them three are the three that really stand out as strikers that I played with.
Now, you mentioned the King, you mentioned Andy Liddell, you mentioned Jason Roberts. These are the strikers that you meshed with and gelled with. Were there any teammates or strikers that you had an instant dislike for yourself? Players that you just couldn't gel with? Because no doubt when you get the players that do mesh, you're going to get, no doubt, players that don't get on. Did you experience that in your career?
To be honest, I never really. Person, if there's a person who is like a difficult character, I would basically not. I'll just try and not be around them too much. But there's not really much throughout my whole career. I can't really think of many people that I could say that I didn't get on with. I wasn't a person that you don't get on with. Like, there's certain characters, isn't it, that will clash. But if you're a certain character, you kind of get on with everyone. And for me, I was kind of that guy that nobody really had a problem with ever. And I never really had a problem with anyone, no matter how they were as people. So there's like obviously certain people, you go through so many teammates But there's only a certain amount of people who are going to be your good friend. Maybe count on your hand who's going to be your friend who you're going to speak to for the rest of your life. And the rest were people who you're just going to, obviously, who were your teammates. So to be honest, I can't think of anyone that sticks out that you kind of don't like at all, like hate kind of thing. I know people who were a bit of a disruption in training at clubs. There's people who were disruptions, but in terms of people you don't like, not many.
Now, you've had some highs and lows at West Brom. Scoring at Everton in such a big game, no doubt, was a big high for yourself. And the crowd and that, everything that goes with the adulation of scoring in such a big game. Also suffered some quite low moments at West Brom as well. No doubt the injuries, the shoulder injury niggling, the toe injury, the not wanting to take pain relief, which seemed to be a big stir as well. The toe injury.
Yeah. Right. So with the toe injury, it needs clearing up because a lot of people just talk rubbish when it comes to this. It's a mad one because I came on against Liverpool at home and someone, I don't know, they stepped on my foot or kicked something in my foot and my foot was throbbing. I couldn't stand on my foot at all. Something happened to the bone. So you see like your big toe. So imagine that's your big toe. That part underneath where it all moves, it's like something broke inside there. And I was like, and in between this area here as well. So all of that area is a problem. And in between on the big toe, where the toe bit moves, pain like I've
got a similar problem on my finger to that.
Yeah.
Like on that muscle. And that only hurts a little bit. Imagine if I was walking on that all day. It is going to be painful.
Imagine if you have to kick balls and your foot has to move all the time. So anyway, I got injured on it and I couldn't stand on my foot. I couldn't stand up. So obviously, I had a couple of days rest and I was like, okay, let's kind of like, we're coming up to a game midweek. I need to see if I'm ready I need to do a little bit of a fitness test. So let's go out on the side of the pitch and let's see if I can like move. I put my boot on, I'm like hobbling. And then like, we're just trying to do a few steps and movements. And I'm like, I can't stand up. I can't walk. I can't do it. But they're like, look, basically I could tell the physio had to make sure I got out there on the pitch because we're close to relegation. This point, they realize that I'm the guy who's ripping it up and scoring goals and able to help them get out of trouble. But at this time, so the reason why I was on the bench against Liverpool was because the manager, he didn't feel like we could beat Liverpool. So he didn't want to play his first team ever against the bigger teams. I didn't really like that because a lot of the smaller teams, they play their best team against everyone and try and win. And they'll get the occasional win. But I feel like it's giving up too easy to just like not play your first team against the big boys. Every time it's like, okay, we got them coming up. So let's play your reserves in this game and then go this team. I'm like, why? So anyway, at this point, I was considered a player who's needed to help us go up because they could see I was scored against Birmingham, scored against Middlesbrough, went to Spurs away, played really well, did really well in a lot of the games towards the end. But this time, the injury, I was so hurt, I couldn't stand up. But I was like, look, I know I need to play. I want to play. We need to win. Like, I want more goals. I need to win. Like, but it was that much pain that I knew I couldn't stand up. And he already gave me some tablets to try and do it, to replicate being able to play. So I couldn't walk. So the day of the game, he said, look, let's just rest it out. And then come to the day of the game, we'll just take, just make sure you take these cocodamols and this, whatever. So it was cocodamol. It's like the strongest cocodamol. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Oh, no problem. I'll take it and then I'll play. No problem. If I can play. If it's going to mask the pain and I can actually run around, I'll play. So I remember before the game, I took these cocodamols and then I'm like setting off for the match. So I'm driving and I'm dizzy. Like I can't see straight. So I stopped my car on the side of the road. I'm like, I can't drive. I drive like this, I'm gonna crash or something. So I rang up the physio. I said, listen, I'm dizzy. I took these tablets. I'm dizzy. I can't drive. And I waited there until it wore off. Then I drove to the ground. Obviously, the team was already set up. I was gonna play, but I couldn't play because I was dizzy. I couldn't even drive. So by the time I got to the game, they're already warming up, already ready, and I wasn't in the side, or I wasn't in the squad then because obviously I wasn't fit to play. So I spoke to the doctor and everything. I was like, I wasn't fit to play, couldn't play, and my foot was that bad as well. I couldn't play anyway. So that's what happened. I wasn't in the squad, but they were so angry, and I was thinking, man, do you really think that I don't want to play? Like, I want to play, but I'm injured. Is what can I do if I'm injured? If you've got a broken toe, whatever happened to my toe, that was it. I was in pain with that toe for the next year and a half. But obviously, it got to a stage where I was able to play again. But I was in pain. I used to get the physio every day to like get the big toe and like maneuver it around so it could get a bit of movement. And there was so much pain every single time they used to do that. And then I used to have cracks. I've always got cracks in my foot now where, you know, you can hear the all the time because there was something that happened to the bone which really messed it up. And I had to just like continue my career and just get better. And that didn't actually settle down properly till the end of the season where I was able to get a rest and then go into the next season where it was good enough to play with pain. And I've always had less movement now in my foot ever since. So that's what happened. And there's just nothing I could do about it. But then obviously newspapers saying didn't play because of a sore toe. I'm like, come on. You really think I'm not going to play because of a sore toe?
Did that ridicule hurt you? Did that ridicule hurt you as a player? The fact that they're calling into question your ability to perform and your wanting to have the need to perform.
Yeah, it hurts because, you know, that's again, like, not only was that happening, I'm getting this now, this pressure from outside when I can't play to play. So I'm like, why would you want me playing at 50% anyway when someone else who's at 100% is going to be better than me? Why would you do that? And then it's just like everyone telling you something. And then that's when my confidence went lower than my norm. So again, for the first time in my career, this is when I started feeling the confidence was going down now because of the manager's not on my side. Now the fans are now saying stuff, some fans, and then the newspapers are saying stuff. So now it's all negativity on me, which is the first time I ever had in my career. And that's when I think I remember going to away at Everton, and I had like not the best game. I missed a couple of chances. I wasn't playing well. I wasn't confident. Obviously playing with a bit of pain on my foot anyway. But again, it's like pain in your foot and all high confidence. You can still do something. But then now you've got not as much confidence, pain in your foot, people against you. It's like you're fighting to prove something when you shouldn't be having to. And that's what happened really. It was just it was a terrible last month or two when we just got relegated, and it just hurt because I didn't say anything because that wasn't the type of person I was. I didn't say anything to the manager. I didn't go in smashing his door down saying, listen, can't you see that I'm scoring and playing well every time I'm playing? I remember we played at Old Trafford. I was the best player on the pitch, and he took me off, and the fans were all shouting, you don't know what you're doing. Like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. I was the best player on the pitch, playing so well. And that's my team I supported. So obviously I scored against them at Old Trafford, played really well. And then I was thinking, why is it he's doing these things? End of the season came and I was like, we're relegated. I want to go back to the Prem. Like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be back to the Championship. I need to be in the Prem. So we went in, we had a meeting, and I said, look, I need to leave. Like, I need to go Prem. And that's when Wigan wanted me back. But at the time, what happened was I said, you guys, it feels like you bought me to cripple Wigan. So they're at least one extra team that are going to be relegated and give you guys less chance of getting relegated. I was thinking, I feel like that's what you guys did.
Wow.
Because why did I not play games? I'm top scorer, half the games of the other strikers. Why did I not play? And they actually said, I wish you had the conversation with us like this in the season. But this is something that happened to me where I've always been quiet and thought, let my football do the talking. But at this point, it was like, Nath, you have to be not yourself now. You have to go in and have a meeting with these guys and tell them exactly what you think. And don't care of the consequences. That's not me. I'm not a confrontational guy. Like, I don't like to do them things and have them kind of confrontations with people. So that was my character, to just play and not be a problem for anyone else. And that's why they felt probably I was an easy guy option to put on the bench most of the time. And so if they had their chance again, they probably would have played me. The chairman loved me. He always said, Jeremy Pearce is like, look, the best player that's been here in a long time. You know, he thought I was one of the best strikers to ever be there. Like, I remember he was saying, like, when I left, you know, we've just lost one of our best strikers that's been here for a long, long time. So again, it's like they wanted to offer me a new deal when we got relegated. I said, I don't want a new deal. I just want to move. I want to go back to the Prem. Because one thing I was always told was the money will follow, but as long as you get to where you need to be, the money is going to follow you. If you're playing well, you're going to get paid well enough. So I didn't want to go down the road of I'm signing a new deal, get more money, because my money got halved. When you get relegated, you get half your money. So I got halved, just under half my money. And then they offered about 5 other players new deals. I was the only player that didn't sign a new deal and didn't end up moving. These other players signed a new deal, got paid more in the championship, and moved on anyway. And I got the rough end of the stick because I decided that I don't want to get paid any more money. Again, it's another business deal that I didn't do properly based on myself not wanting to get a new deal. Again, it's business comes first. So now, like I know I'm an agent now, so I look after players. So these things are very good experience for dealing with clubs in the future as well. But again, like that time there, it was annoying because they didn't let me go. The chairman says no one's leaving because they want to get back to the Prem. Everyone's got to stay next year. No one's going anywhere. Wigan came in for me. They didn't want me to go. At the time, Watford went up to the Premiership that season and wanted me. They didn't let me go. So I was stuck having to play back in the Championship, having known that they didn't really play me much in the Premiership.
Watford, as well as old club Wigan, have been trying to actively sign you. You're not happy at the club. You're 50% down on your salary. How do you motivate yourself at this point? And what other options did you have but to knuckle down? What's your mindset?
It's the first time I've come to any adversity in my career. Like I said, it was always going up, and then to not be playing every week. It's the first time I didn't get 20 plus goals in a season. So I was not happy about that. Going into the Championship again, knowing that Premiership teams wanted me, I was also very upset about that. So it was very hard to handle. But at the same time, I knew we've already played in the Championship, knew what we can do. So it's not like the team's not good. We could easily, do well in this league and go up. So obviously, I just knuckled down and played. And I think that season we got playoff finals and lost in the finals. But that was a season where halfway through the season, Brian Robson left. And then manager took over. The assistant manager took over. And he did really well, to be fair. He's at Leicester as well. What's his name? Good manager now at Leicester. What's his name? Why has this gone out of my head? Again, we're losing the names. I could see his name just came to me in my head and just left again. Anyway, the assistant manager, he took over. He did really well, took us to the playoff finals. And we didn't imagine again, we're one game away from going to the Prem. We knuckled down, work hard. You play football. Football's, you love football still anyway. So if you're playing, doing well, it's fine. You know, you're still going to be enjoying it as a football player, first and foremost. I still enjoyed playing because I played with some really good players still. But we get to the playoff finals and we're one game away from Prem. So we can start dreaming again of playing Prem again. And then we somehow play our worst game of the season and lose 1-0 to Derby. And I'm on a bench. I come on for 5 minutes at Wembley. So we lose 1-0. And that's our, you know, the dream of being back in the Prem gone again. So one game away, 90 minutes away from back in the Prem, and it's taken away from a loss like that when we were by far the best team, like on paper. But it looked like individuals out there on the day trying to do everything themselves instead of playing as a team. We didn't have a team where people play for each other. Great ability on the pitch, but everyone basically, not people don't play for each other. I mean, like the extra bit that you need, like me and Jason had, that extra little something where you really want if the best opportunity to happen in the game. Someone's through, you got a chance to shoot, they're in a better opportunity, you've got to play it. But instead you take a shot because that you wanted the glory, because each player is a striker on their own, in their own merit, you know, focused on their own goals rather than a team effort. I think that's what, in the end, possibly lost us that final. Not having that real extra little thing that you need to go up. And it was painful. It was painful.
It just come to me. Do you know who the player was you did the ISS chop on? Phil Jagielka.
Jagielka, yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Right, so I've been racking my brain for ages. Took ages to get that. Just came to me then.
That's the one. So let's get the assistant manager from Brian Robson and Pearson, Nigel Pearson.
Nigel Pearson.
Nigel Pearson. Yeah. That's the one. So he was the one who took over at the time. He did really well. And then after that, that's the season after when Tony Mowbray came in and Mark Venus was the assistant manager. Two really good managers, one really good manager, one really good assistant coach as well. I loved it playing under them, to be fair. But at this point, my head was gone and I was needing to leave. Like, I had opportunities to go back to the Prem, ample opportunities, and they just kept getting rejected. And I was like, this is ridiculous, man. That that next season was when in December, Wigan came in with a 3 million bid again for me. They told me I could leave, but not until the end, where they're going to drag it out. So I'm there going, knowing that I'm going to leave, I can leave, but they're just going to drag it out. I rang up Paul Jewell, told him, look, they're just going to drag it out. I am going to get to leave, but they're going to drag it out. So he says, okay, halfway through that January month comes, and every day I'm going straight to the chairman, knocking on his door. Listen, can I go? Come on, let me go. Just let me go. He's like, no. So I think it's about a week, 2 weeks to go. So it's halfway through. And Paul Jewell rings me up and I'm looking at my phone going, I hope this is good news. So he rings me and going, Nath, there's nothing I can do at the minute. I'm going to have to look elsewhere. They're not playing ball. They're not. I said, Gaffer, they're just going to wait till the end of the month and let me sign. No problem. They will. But he's like, I can't afford, because we're in relegation battle right now and I need someone in now. And I want you back in. I'm like, look, I'm happy to come. I'm ready all day. I'm ready to come back. And he says, look, I'm going to have to go elsewhere. If they sort something out and we haven't sorted something out, then yeah, we'll sort it out. So every day I was going in, come on, knocking on the door, chairman, let me go. 3 days or so left to go. And I'm walking, he goes, Nath, yeah, you can go. And I was like, I can go. Paul Jewell, listen. They said I can go. They said I can come. Right. He's like, Nath, can't. We've got a bit of bad news. We've got a player We're waiting for his international clearance. If his international clearance comes through, nothing we can do. He's signing. Julius Agahawa.
I remember Julius Power. Football
So,
manager legend.
yeah, but didn't do anything at Wigan. So he's there, about to sign, and I'm there on Sky Sports News, just watching like a hawk, hoping to not see that it's come up. Yellow screen, Julius Agahawa signs for Wigan. I'm like, deflation, like the biggest deflation ever. Thinking I'm going back to the Prem, this is my life back to normal. I'll go back and live back up there, back at home, everything, just thinking of everything. And be back, everything will be great. Be back playing with Jace and all the boys again, and bang, not happening. And I was like, got to go back and train again and be in the squad and on the bench and everything. I was like, so that was a massive, massive problem. But I had to get on with it. So we went to the end of that season. That's when, like I said, we missed out on the playoffs. And that's the end of the season where the next season, pre-season, I was playing there, but I was, look, we need to leave, we need to go. And that's when Watford came in and they offered 3 mil, whatever, 3.25, rising to 4.25.
4.25 on appearances. Big money, man.
Yeah, but that's for them, innit? That's between the two clubs, so nothing to do with the player. So it didn't really matter to me.
yeah, I get that.
So it was just a move in it. It's a record signing for Watford. But that was that. So I ended up getting a move, but it's to the Championship again. So it wasn't back to the Prem. And that was me. Another move away, thinking that it was a great opportunity to go to Watford. But to be fair, West Brom was the better option because it was playing great football under Tony Mowbray. We had some great players. We definitely odds on to go up that season with the players that we had that came in. We had Kevin Phillips killing it. We had a striker who came from Man City at the time, black guy, very strong, quick. Can't remember his name now. Names just always deserting me. But he came in and he was a powerhouse. And I just could have just stayed there with these guys and gone up, because they did go up. They went up and I went to Watford and they didn't go up. So again, it was a bad move.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about your move to Watford. Big transfer fee, new teammates, new environment, new manager. Can you talk to me about that period in your life?
Yeah, well, it was at a time where obviously at West Brom, my head had gone and I just wanted to move and go back to being in the Premiership, or just at the time it was taking so long. It was just about making a move away, and I think I got a little bit away from understanding where I was at the time, because I think a move to Watford, although it is the same league, and possibly we had a much better team at West Brom at the time. We did actually, because they went up that season. I just wanted to go, and considering that they wanted to take me when they went to the Premiership the previous season and they got relegated, I thought, the manager's shown that he wants me, so it's a good idea that I go and and see what they've got to say. So,
what was your first initial impression of Aidy Boothroyd?
It was a really good one, to be honest. I first met him and you could see that he had that passion and that excitement, that he was bringing me down to show me what they have. The training ground, amazing. Obviously the team that they had, that they went up and they've just come back down. And he painted a really nice picture that obviously I'll be playing there. Definitely you're going to be coming, you'll be playing for me. And I'll love it there. The way he said it, it was like, wow, you know what? I can't say no to this opportunity. I would just wanted to get a feel for if he really wanted me. And the way it sounded was, yeah, definitely you're going to come, you're going to play. Like I said, when I was at West Brom, that's the only time when I stopped playing regularly. And that's why I never scored more than 20 goals a season after that point. I was always at 20 plus goals a season when I'm playing every week. And it just went, the ratio was still good, because that's what I used to always take a look at and say, how many starts do I have to how many goals? That's what I used to go by, because, sometimes you get on as a sub for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You might score a goal in that time, but I never used to count that as a proper understanding of what someone's ratio is. And I felt, you know what, if I'm going to be playing, I'm going to Watford, you know, and again, like I said, if they've just come down from the Prem, they're pretty much in a similar boat than West Brom. You know, it's a new start. My head's gone. Can I have a fresh start now under a manager that likes me? So I decided, yeah, I'm coming. And I left, went straight to Watford. And that's when it was a bit weird, because we started the season. The 2 games had already gone in the season. They'd already won the first 2 games, or maybe the first game. And when I came in, I was on the bench to start with, because we'd won the first 2. Marlon King and Darius Henderson were the 2 strikers up front at the time. And they had a great system to the way they win, you know, which allowed them to be as strong as possible. And it was a bit of a different type of football. So it's more of a route one kind of football. But I felt I could possibly fit in anyway. So I came off the bench the first game, and I actually hit the post. I came on for like 20 minutes. I hit the post in that game, and I was buzzing, you know, wanting the balls everywhere, through the lines, asking for it. And I remember at the end of the game, I didn't get a few balls through the lines, and I'm asking for it through the midfield to slot it through to me, and, you know, making good angles and getting really live wire on the first game. And end of the game, I remember Joby McAnuff coming to me. He said, "Nath, we can't do that here." And my mind, what do you mean you can't do that here? What do you mean you can't play a ball through the lines? What do you mean? Like, and he said, yeah, we can't do that here. And I just didn't take it fully on at the time, but I wondered what he meant by that. Like, this is football. What are you talking about? Like, this is what we do to make chances and score goals. So anyway, we won that game anyway. And the next game we played away at Cardiff, and he wanted to start me because he said that I would start. And I came in, started that game, and I remember we were training, and Marlon King was the one who was going to the bench for me, and he threw his toys out the pram, like massively in training, massively threw his toys out the pram. And I obviously was a bit uneasy from it, because I'm not used to that. Like, players usually, like, they work hard, they show through working hard that they're going to get back in the side. But he was just like kicking things, walking around like he's not interested because he's not playing. So it kind of made me feel for the first time that, wow, there's one player now that I've come across that kind of isn't like a team guy kind of thing if he's not playing. And he's really gone to the extreme for one game, you know, coming out for one game and being like this. So anyway, I played in the game. And then I think we drew that game. We must have drawn because we didn't lose for the first 10 games or so. We might have even won. I'm not even sure. But what happened, he came on in the end. And after that game, he took me back out because of him, obviously the pressure of him being the way he was. He took me back out and put him back in. And then what happened, I didn't say anything. You know, I just felt, you know what? I think what happened is their partnership, they scored a couple goals in the first 2 games anyway. And from me coming in, we didn't win the game, or we might draw on, like I said. And then he went back, and then they both scored. And then the game after, they both scored. And then the game after that, they both were scoring. Well, one of the 2 were scoring, or both were scoring, and we were winning every game. So I was sitting there going, you know what? I can't say anything. Like, we're winning every game. How am I going to say, listen, Gaffer, change it, put me in now, when the team's winning every week? So I thought, you know what, I'll just stay calm. I won't be like that, because that's not me. I'm not that type of guy to throw my toys out the pram. Let me just carry on working hard. But the problem was we didn't have a reserve team. There was no reserve games. There's the one-off game which could get arranged every now and again. But so to be match fit and be 100% fit, there's no games. So you're only training. And we all know, us football players, that we all know that if you're not playing matches, like proper matches, you can't get that kind of fitness in training. You can get a certain amount, but then that extra bit that you need to have proper competitive football, you need matches. And game after game went by. I was just losing that match fitness. And obviously coming on every now and again and doing okay. But it's like I was reduced to a few minutes every game. And again, I found myself like nearly halfway through the season, one game, one start. I'm thinking, man, we're winning the league anyway. We're up at the top of the league, no problems. Okay, that's the one consolation I could look at. We're top anyway, cool. And obviously I started getting a bit like, man, I need to play games. I need to be playing now. And then there was talk of Marlon King leaving. And I think we were going more and more Route 1 throughout that season. And I think we brought in Lee Bromby, one of the longest throwers in the game. So Danny Shitu was someone who became our go-to guy. So when Marlon King went, and manager was saying, look, you'll get involved soon. You'll be coming in. And we started going very Route 1. And at this time, like I said, that first comment that Joby McAnuff mentioned to me about we can't play it through the lines, that started becoming more and more apparent throughout the season. So when I started playing games, you know, like when I'm playing, my IQ had gone up since my beginning days at Bristol Rovers, Wigan and West Brom. So my IQ had gone to a much higher level. So then I'm like seeing the pattern of play building up. And then I know when to start my runs, to make my run in behind or to make my run short. It's all about timing. And I remember the ball got right on the byline and the player wasn't even facing my way. He's facing his own way, our own teammate. And he span and put the ball down the line. And I was like, wow, he's put the ball down the line for me to get onto, to chase, for me to be favourite. I'm not making a run based on our little pattern of play and getting in behind. And the manager was like, get after it. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even see that coming. Like, that's not a part of a pattern of play that I've seen in my head. So that's when we had meetings afterwards saying, I'm used to hearing this up to the striker who lays it off back to the midfielder who puts the other striker through. So you call that up, back and through. That's usually part of a pattern that most teams play. But he says, look, I think we can get there in one. So that just made me go crazy in my head. I was like, what do you mean we could get there in one? You mean we've got to play Wimbledon style like back in the day? You just bang it and we got to run and chase the ball and then try and beat the defender and then win it and then try and do something off that. I'm like, why are we not trying to outsmart teams when we've got players that good in the team? We had lots of good players. Lee Williamson, midfield, very good player. Joe B, you have so many, I can't even go, there's so many names there that we had that were so good in the team that could play football, but the manager didn't want us playing that kind of football. And one thing I remember vividly him saying was, look, if you play it through the lines and it gets there, all good. But if it doesn't, you'll be sitting with me. I'm like, wow, he doesn't want us to play. He doesn't think we can play. And I just felt like, obviously, he didn't trust us enough to play at that level to get back up. And I understand, like, managers, I understand their way of thinking because they want to play a certain way. I understand that if they're playing non-league football, where players make loads of mistakes and goals get scored that shouldn't be, when the defenders get it and they try and pass it around, they lose it and goals get scored. But we're a championship team, players that have played in the Premiership, and he doesn't trust us. That was something that was really, really puzzling for me. And it made me very downhearted, to be honest. I kind of was, it's not, I was very, my mindset had gone. You know, like when I say about, I was talking about my you know, your inside, if your confidence is up here, you start playing even better. I felt like my ability was being suppressed. The way I play was being suppressed. And then it made me not really, I was like not 100% because I knew that I'm just chasing lost causes. And we did train. I remember doing, it's not all negative, by the way, but I'm just talking about these negative things that made it very, very hard for me to play my kind of game. Because we did training. I remember we did finishing. And the rule was we had to play the ball bad to the striker, bobbily, very bad, so we could get hold of it and try and score a bad goal. That was what we were working towards. And I was like, Why? Why are we working towards playing a back? So, but his mindset was, if the ball comes to you bad, you can make the best of it and score. But my thing was like, why not try and get the ball to you good, like in with quality, so you can score? Like, why are we focusing on the other side? We should be focusing on doing it right. So it was kind of like a thing where it's like two different mindsets. Wrong player for me. I was the wrong player for the team that he wanted. Total wrong player. And I remember speaking to psychologists there. We just used to sit in a room and have a chat about how things are and what we feel. And he really helped me, because he just allowed me to talk to him like this and explain how I felt. And then he would make suggestions like, why do you think you're not playing as much as you want to? This was when Marlon King had moved and we were still playing this direct football, but I still wasn't playing because that wasn't what I could handle. Like, I just couldn't handle that kind of football. And then it came to the thought of, look, he got me in a mindset where I was like, you know what, whatever happens, I'm just going to run around like a madman and just challenge everything and just do everything to just try and win this game. And then I played in the next game and I actually was all over the place ripping and I managed to score a goal. But it's weird because that's what was a change. And everyone after the game, like the psychologist and the manager, was saying, I saw a change in one of our players, a change in his attitude and whatever. So it was like, it's certain things in your mind that can get triggered, and that's called the man management side of things. And that's where I think him being there and being able to speak to players and get them to think even in a little slightly more positive way can bring out a lot more in a player. And I think that really did help me in terms of my mindset, because my mind was just like totally negative. I was just blame. But then he made me realize something in my game, away from just the football, away from my ability, but something that you need, which I told you, Paul Jewell said before. He said, if you've got that work rate, which is much more than anyone else, your ability and your work rate together is going to be better than anyone else. But I think my work rate ended up going a little bit less because I didn't believe so much in chasing lost causes as the primary thing, if you get what I mean. My whole thing was, let's play a way that suits our players rather than working towards the scraps. You work towards the scraps, obviously, but you don't work for the scraps. You work when the scraps have to be done. And that's what I felt our primary thing was, working for scraps. And it was a hard thing and a hard challenge in my career to have to get over. But that came a bit too far, a bit too late at that time. And like I said, we were all talking, all the players between us, always talking, saying, listen, this is crazy, man. Like, we need to start playing. And we went through a spell, like I said, where Danny Shitu was the go-to guy. He was our defender, massive guy, strong in the air, fast as hell. But what we ended up playing was, whenever the ball went over the halfway line and we got a free kick, Danny was in the box. We had to play a ball into Danny. He has to flick it on and we have to score a goal off that, which we know is very, very difficult. Any throw-in from half of the halfway line, Lee Bromby would get it and long throw it into the box for a flick on to try and score. Any corner we would get, we'd play it for Danny Shitu to run to the front post, flick it on, and we try and score. So everything was Danny. And we were all looking to him to get goals for us and for him to save goals from us. So we weren't looking to the strikers to score goals. It was, come on, Danny, get us a goal, win us the game. And he's a defender. He had a major workload on for the time he was there. Obviously, he had to work at the back. Then he had to get all the way up. Then if you miss it, then you had to run all the way back. So it was a big workload for him. He managed to do really well, to be honest. But again, you're not going to win the league playing that kind of football. And it hurt us. And then we ended up dropping out of the top bits, and we ended up being in the playoffs. And at this point, Aidy Boothroyd calls a meeting and he says, we're going to play football. We're going to play football now. We're going to do it. I'm like, oh, finally. but why so late? Now we've got to now work on, everything's got to be good straight away. We got no time to work on everyone's abilities to do what they do best. So we ended up we played some good football, but we didn't have that killer thing that we needed, which would come after a few weeks of training. So we ended up losing to Hull City in the playoffs, and we were out. We didn't go up that season. And I just wanted to leave because I was like, look, this is not the football that I signed up for. This is not the kind of football that I want to play ever. You know, I need to move on again. And I felt like, you know, you brought me in. I know things were a certain way, but I didn't know I was going to be playing this kind of football. And really, I need to go and play somewhere else where I'm going to play football that suits me. It was another lesson in my career to know that you've got to do your research on what managers, the way of football they want to play, and if it's going to suit you, where you see yourself in the team. Where do they see you in the team? Do they see you as a first team player? Do they see you as a squad player? You fighting for your position, or you're a person they're telling you you're going to be playing? So it's another massive lesson that I learned. But it was the one time in my whole career where I was not liked by a large number of fans of the club. And that's never happened to me. And I never had a season where I didn't score too many goals either. That was one of them. That was the only one where it was a really bad season in my eyes. And obviously a lot of football heads, like fans that knew their football, they would come up to me and say exactly what I was thinking. Like, I can see exactly why we're not playing the football for you, blah, blah, blah. I can see why you're struggling and all of that. So obviously it did fill me with a bit of happiness. People can see why I wasn't doing what I was doing. But again, when it comes to moving on, it's a hard one, because it was very hard, because it's a season now. I've not scored many goals. I'm not playing that well. People thinking, am I as good as I was? And it also coincided with me becoming Muslim, and actually starting to practice a bit more. I was actually learning more about my religion, and you know, I was starting to be able to practice a bit more. But at this time, obviously, it's not a thing that meshed well with football, the football culture, and the culture of not drinking, not going out, and all that stuff. It doesn't mix, kind of thing. It's not. You kind of see it as a negative when it's not. But people maybe even like gambling with playing cards on the table on the bus. That would be more the culture of football, which is normal. Where like if I'm reading a book, it's like he's not interested in his football. So I started getting some negative side on my off the field side of things as well. When all I saw was my football is everything. I want to be the best. I'm working hard every day in training. I'm doing everything as I've always done. And I've always just felt like I got to be on that upward trail. But people started mentioning things. Like I ended up having, you know, one of my agents asking if I could cut my beard. I'm like, why should I cut my beard? Like, what's that got to do with my football? I was like, how can that be? But maybe the manager has spoken to him saying, listen, can you just get him to cut his beard? I'm like, but there's people like Melberg at Villa with massive beard playing. No one cares. What's the problem with me? Mine was not that big. It's just a little bit bigger than it is now. I was like, why are they concentrating on my beard? Like, what's that got to do with anything? And it was just weird. Like, you know, it's just a negative thing, isn't it? It's in the times where the newspaper talks negatively about things, and then they see me, and then they try to connect the two. And that's the thing. It coincided with the Watford time, which was not the best, and then me also, like I said, becoming Muslim. So hard time.
Do you feel you didn't get a chance to justify the transfer fee that was paid for you with the lack of starts that Aidy Boothroyd gave you at the time? Because looking at your stats, a lot of your appearances seem to be coming off the bench, or like you're not getting a run of games in the team. Do you feel that added a lot of pressure? And with the transfer fee the club had paid, the fans are obviously expecting that instant impact, which again, no fault of your own, but just didn't seem to materialise.
Yeah, well, when it comes to, you know, signing for a club for any amount, I never looked at the price. I never look at any pressure that comes with it, because I'm not getting any of that money. So it's not like I'm getting paid 3 million and then I'm going to play and I know that that person paid me 3 million. They played the other club 3 million and I've just signed for the club. So for me, you know, the prices of me moving, it had no relevance to my thinking at all at any stage of my life. All I thought about was, I'm going here to play football. That was my whole mindset has always been football, football, football. I just want to play football. And when I went there, like I said, I feel like I didn't play. I wasn't a regular. I wasn't a regular starter. So I always knew from the last, I don't know, 7, 8 seasons, I knew how I am. I knew what I needed to get to the level that I wanted to. And I always knew pre-season, you do your hard work, you play your few pre-season games, starting playing majority of pre-season games. And I used to always get cramp on my first league game of the season because it would be that higher energy level. And my body couldn't handle it. I'm like a power player. So I have to be able to do powerful things over and over and over again at the highest speed and then recover quick and then go again. So I know that that's what it takes for me to get to that level to be me. And if I'm not playing regular games, I'm never going to be able to do that for 90 minutes. So I've got to get a run of games where maybe I play for 60 minutes and then my tank's gone. And I'm no longer the Nathan Ellington that everybody knows, like that kind of sharp Nathan Ellington for that final 30 minutes. But then if I play again, then I might be 70 minutes. Then again, and then again, and then now I'm 90 minutes. Now I can play the full 90 minutes. But I never got that opportunity at Watford to do that. I never got an opportunity. And that's what I always, like I said, through experience, you start learning about yourself and what you need to get to the level. And like you say, you've probably seen people like Bergkamp. You've heard in stories that the minute he feels any little twinge, he's out. He's gone inside. He's not training anymore because he knows if he carries on, he's going to get injured because he's used to that now. He lived through that time where he carried on and he got injured. Then he was out for 3 weeks or something. Then he carried on, he got injured. So he's like, okay, I know how to handle my body now. And another example is Van Persie. Same thing. He used to get injured quite a bit. Then he learned how to handle his body. For me, I learned how my body gets to the peak level. And I knew what I needed and I wasn't allowed that to be able to get to that level. And everyone's different. Some people are naturally really fit. Some people are not power players. Some people just, jog around until it's in the box and then they're really good at scoring. Me, I was all about doing things off the cuff, doing things out of the blue, dropping the shoulder, taking on a player and scoring a goal, making something happen, beating that one man and playing someone in, opening up a door somewhere and scoring a goal. So for me, I needed to have that sharpness and that power all the time. That's what made me me. And I wasn't allowed to do it.
Is this the reason for you wanting to go out on loan? We see a couple of loan moves.
I think I went to Derby first because Paul Jaw, he went to Derby. And then because he'd obviously been with me back at Wigan, he wanted me down at Derby. He came and watched me that game that I told you where I started and I actually played really well and scored. And he saw me in that game where he says, look, Nathan, I've seen the same you, but a lot of the fans were booing and I was wondering why. But I could see on the side that you were you, like you were doing all the right things, but the fans were just like that. So I was thinking that's great that he was able to see it. Thank you very much. Now that's my mind. And finally, a manager on the side that knows me can see that I'm still me. So he brings me to Derby. I end up signing on loan there instead of signing permanent. I don't know what reason it was, but I ended up having to sign on loan until the next season where I was going to go there on permanent. And I started the season, had a great pre-season. I had a bit of a niggle in my hamstring. And this is what I mean. I signed there thinking I was going to end up staying at Derby. Great facilities, great training ground, great stadium, amazing place to play, to be honest. And I felt, yes, I'm going to get my chance again. I got my old manager back. He's bringing in a few of the players that I used to play with, even some other good players, really good players. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I started the season, like I said, cramped first game. Then we played the second game of the season was in the cup. We lost in the first game, league game, but the second game was a cup, and I scored the last second to draw to go into extra time against, I think it was Lincoln. And then I scored an extra 2 goals, which was the hat-trick to take us through to the next round of that cup. And that was me. I scored some amazing goals there. I was playing some of my best football again. But then I kept getting little niggle with this hamstring strain. And I had to like take a couple of weeks out. And then I came back maybe a little too soon. And I kept getting in and getting out just because of this slight strain with my hamstring. But I still managed to help us get to the semi-finals. We beat Stoke, who were in the Premiership. I scored a last-minute penalty there. I was the top scorer in the cup at that point. Towards the halfway through in the season, Paul Jewell ended up leaving. I had 9 goals altogether that season so far before, I think it was about October time or something. And we just got through to the semi-finals of the cup. And we had Man United next, the team I've always supported. And who comes in? Nigel Clough comes in. And I don't know what meetings they had, but they basically said I was one of the names that's got to go. Because I was on loan with a view to be bought the next season. Now they can cut that short. Okay, one of the higher paid players, how can we get rid of him? And how can we then obviously do our own thing? So for me, I was a bit upset because at the time I pulled my hammy again. I was just getting fit again, thinking, yeah, I'm 9 goals, I'm the top scorer at the club. Surely when I get back fit, he's going to put me back involved. And he didn't put me involved at all. But when I came back, I was playing the best football of my whole career in training. He did put on some amazing sessions. I love the sessions. It's not amazing sessions, but what we like as football players is 5-a-sides, small-sided games. And all he did was small-sided games every day. Every single day we did small-sided games. It sharpens your whole game up. But it's like heaven for a football player. So I'm there scoring goal after goal, ripping up everybody in training, absolutely everyone. But I'm not playing because he doesn't want me in the side anymore. So obviously, if I justify I'm doing really well, then they'd have to sign me. So what happens is we get Man United, not in the squad at all. I'm the top scorer in the whole competition, not in the squad at all. We get Man United in the FA Cup, not in the squad at all on all of them. On both times, we play Man United 2 times in the same month and I don't get to play. We're playing, I'm on the bench once in a blue moon, but the manager, so the coach that would always watch me in training, he was like, Nathan, unbelievable, doing really well. He says, it's not your training that's not getting you in the squad. He basically said it in a roundabout way. He was saying, I'm going to tell the manager exactly how training went and how good you was, but it's not your training that's not getting you in. And I'm there going home, calling my agent saying, I am on fire. I'm absolutely on fire. And nobody can see it. Everyone's going to be like, what's Nathan done for a half a season again? And I was so frustrated because every day I'd come home feeling sharp as hell. Again, 5-a-sides get you match fit. Like you play 5-a-side like for an hour with your guys, you know you're getting knackered and if you're sharp as hell because everyone's sharp. So for me, I felt the sharpest I was ever going to feel that I can go into a match and play. But I was never going to play because they already wrote my name down as the guy to get rid of. So it was the second half of the season was non-existent for me. 9 goals I finished with at the end of the season. And that was it. It was a half start. I started my career again. Manager left. Bang. Back to square one. Had to leave. Go back to Watford. And this is where the problems happen with Watford getting in financial difficulty. And that part of my contract, the way they bought me was 3.25, rising to 4.25 on appearances. So it was around like 7,000 they had to pay every single time I would start a match to West Brom. So the fact that they're in financial difficulty, what they're going to do, tell the manager, who was Malcolm Mackay at the time, he took over, that Nathan cannot start games. because we're going to have to pay extra money to West Brom. But Malcolm Mackay was amazing. One of the best man managers I've played for. It was a short period of time, but it was the best feeling ever because he wanted to do everything with football, pre-season, all with football. He wanted to play proper football. He says, look, I know we're not Barcelona, but I want to play that kind of football. So he showed us like clips of Barcelona, and I was like, this is music to my ears. We can pop and move and try and do our things according to our own ability. That's great. Let's be the best we can be. But he saw something in me because he saw that I was a valuable player and how good I was for the team. So he'd bring me on for, I'd say, minimum 30 minutes every single game. And I'd turn the game. There'll be times where we'll be under the cosh massively. I'd come on and we'd be then just straight away, we'd be on it. Straight away, we'd turn the tide and we're on it. Every single game, pretty much, I came on and did that. I did start the odd 1 or 2 games. Again, it was one of them hard ones because there's not many reserve games. So I wasn't fully fit to be able to manage the whole 90 minutes. But again, it was like one of them things where you just got to get on with it. You know you're not going to be able to start games. And that's when I went to, when the market opened in December, end of December for January, the Greek side, Skodazanti, wanted me. And Malcolm Mackay said, look, Nave, I know it's Greece, it's, a club over there, but go and have a look. But no pressure on my side, do anything. If you don't like it, just come back. You're in my plans as it is. You know what I think about you. Go and see what you think. And at the time, obviously, being on the bench the whole time, knowing that I'm not going to start games, I thought, you know what? And knowing that the previous, season, I hadn't played for half the season as well. It's like becoming like a whole year now, where I've not got goals and games to my name. Not got enough. So people are not going to look back at the stats and see that I played well. They're just looking for goals and games. So I went to Greece, had a look, seen what it was like, and I thought, you know what? I need to get away. I need a different challenge. Let me just go away, go abroad, play in the Super League. I remember Jibril Cisse's at Panathinaikos. We had Lamana Lualua and other players at Ajax, what's the Red and Olympiacos. We had some really good players. It's a league for really attacking play. It wasn't really too defensively strong, but it was a good league. And I felt, you know what? Let me just go over there, restart, score some goals, and then let's see what happens. And it was a great experience, to be fair. A lifestyle difference, different times of training. We trained in the afternoon, so you had the whole morning and afternoon to yourself. We trained in like the early evening, while it was getting cooler and stuff. And it was just a nice way of life, nice and relaxed. And it was just a whole year where I didn't even have to buy anything or spend money on anything. So every single part of my wages, I could just leave in the bank and just it's like a year, like sitting there a year, playing football, not needing to spend any of your income, and then just build it up so I can pay things and stuff. So that was good, as well as the fact that I played well, did well, picked up 2 injuries during the time. So I ended up with like 7 goals in like 17 games or 18 starts. And the manager wanted me again for the next season, the next year, because it was like Christmas to Christmas. So it's like halfway through the season to the halfway through the season. But my missus, I think she got a bit like homesick. It was 1 year away. She's like, let's go back to England now. We've done enough here. Let's just go back and then restart your career again there. And that's what we decided to do. We decided to come back. And at this point, I think I had 6 months left in my Watford career. And I went to Preston. And at this point, I was at Preston. Actually, just to go back a step, when I went to Greece, at this point I had an agent, who was actually in talks with you know, I think it's Sam Allardyce at the time, and he was saying that he'll be keeping tabs on me, watching me, and if I do well, he'll come to have a look and try and take me.